Vincent Van Gogh, people told him, you can't be a great painter, you only have one ear. You know what he said? I can't hear you.
Listening to Sippin' Sports, a Phillies sports talk morning show with Chris, KJ, and Dalt. Proudly powered by 302 Birds. Let's take it to the show.
What is going on, everybody? Happy Saturday morning. Welcome to another episode of the Sippin' Sports podcast. Dalt, KJ, and Chris, we got a full house this Saturday morning for you guys. And as always, just giving you guys that pre-recording disclosure. We're filming this before the holiday weekend. It's Thursday, May 22nd at 5:24 p.m. And the things we're going to be talking about for you guys today and tonight. Mick Abel being sent down, the questionable decisions with that. The Phillies rolling on. We'll see you in Sacramento this weekend. Give a preview for that. Talk about the Tush Push getting extended, Sirianni getting extended, and much more. But right off the bat, let's get right into it. And we'll start with the Phillies expert, Chris. I mean, I know this was something you weren't too happy about. We weren't too happy about in the Phillies questionably sending Mick Abel down, right?
Yeah, I mean, we saw that outing. Well, you guys saw that outing. I was following along on my phone because I was in Alabama. But he was tremendous in his debut. And, former first-round pick, kind of struggled last year. But before then, he was a top prospect in baseball type guy. And he comes out and just dominates, outduels Paul Skeens, one of the best young pitchers in baseball. So to watch Mick Abel pitch like he did, and then, just a couple hours later, they send him right back down. To me, it's disgusting. I think you got to keep guys like him, keep him pitching. Sure, I get it. Taijuan Walker's been pitching well. But you just don't you don't hold down young talent when they're ready. We've seen it time and time again with the Phillies. They hold them down too long, and then by the time they come up, they bust out. Keep him in the majors. Keep him pitching. Like, he should be a part of your rotation for years to come. If he's that good, he will be there. I'd rather see him out there than Taijuan Walker. And, you're probably not bringing back Ranger Suarez. I'd rather see him over Ranger Suarez. You got Painter coming soon, too. So they have to start to do something with this pitching rotation where they get these young guys in here so you can set up for your future, not just the current.
Yeah, I was actually at the game, and, he was pitching a gem out there. It was insane to see this guy who – it was kind of funny, too, because I was actually watching Paul Skeens warm up in the bullpen. Everybody was watching him warm up. I got to see got to meet up with the Philly captain, which was pretty cool. And he got to heckle Paul Skeens, which was kind of funny to see. But yeah, it was kind of cool because when we were actually at the bullpen watching and waiting for Paul Skeens to pitch, we see these two people. We think it might have been Mick Abel's parents, but they had these number 40 jerseys on, and that's Mick Abel's number, and it said Abel in the back. And we didn't know if it was somebody related to him, but there was 50 people that were there for Mick Abel. So to see him pitch out a gem like that, and multiple strikeouts, and just he looked dominant. He really did. His command was great. His fast, he was pitching the four-seam fastball like it was nothing. It was 98 miles per hour. It was insane to see a guy like that just come out there and look like he's been playing on this team for a while. And that he's ready to be bumped up, but then they tell him, okay, you're bumped up. All right, you had an amazing pitching game. You had an amazing day. But guess what? You're going back to the minors, and you're going to go back to, where was he? He was at Lehigh, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, you're going back to Lehigh, you're going to Piggyville or Piggytown or whatever they call it, and you're going to go pitch back there. So, yeah, I don't get why they did that. Some people were saying the reason they were doing that was because they were kind of making it like a showcase, so then other teams can be like, oh, I might want Mick Abel in a future trade, because obviously, as we know, that day when Mick Abel was making his debut was the same day that Jose Alvarado's suspension came out of nowhere, came out of the blue, and which should have been the day that really focused on Mick Abel, wasn't the day that focused on Mick Abel versus Paul Skeens. Was really the day that was focused about the Jose Alvarado suspension for 80 games. That's what that day really kind of summarized, unfortunately. But yeah, it just really sucks to see a guy get a chance like that and then just be snatched back, kind of like in those movies or TV shows where you have like the cane or whatever, and they just take you back or whatever. You guys probably know what I'm talking about in those TV shows where they just like they get the cane and you can't even see who it is, and
it's almost like what they use for like a lamb or something. I know what you're talking about. But I think what I've read and what I've heard is at least a lot of people online seem to want to use Mick Abel in sort of a reliever role now that Alvarado's out. The Phillies have a different plan, and obviously that rookie record showed for it. They view him more as a starter, which is good for Mick because Mick's going to make more money, but it's also good for the Phillies too from a business standpoint because it makes him a more valuable piece, whether or not he stays on this team or not. So I do like that perspective. The problem is the Phillies don't understand this. They need to blend it all and balance it all. Any experience is good experience. So I feel like him coming in being a reliever won't ruin him. The first game that he started showed for that. And I do view him as a starter as well. I think he can start. But if I was the Philadelphia Phillies, I would really honestly say, okay, we're in a win now mode right now. Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, all these guys got to get paid. We don't have time to wait for a kid like Mick Abel. So it almost makes you, as the Phillies organization, take this gamble, roll the dice, see what happens. Because what if Mick Abel breaks out, right? What if he breaks out at the perfect time, right when we need him to, and he becomes a superstar, somebody that this team didn't know that they needed going into the playoffs, starting this season and in a season that we needed him? What if that happens? We would never know if we send him down. So I just feel like, in my opinion, I do understand that perspective, that looking to develop him, it makes sense to go put him on Lehigh, let him start there, let him get his confidence, you know what I mean, and develop. But the problem is the Phillies are a win now team, and they got to just figure out, okay, what happens if this guy does break out? Like they almost have to gamble, at least in my opinion, because the past 2 years have been such a letdown that something's got to change.
Yeah, I think that you just got to keep him in the majors. I don't agree with the bullpen aspect of it just because it's such a different thing, especially when he's been starting for years now. The one you should just keep in the bullpen was Walker. He was doing fine in the bullpen. Sure, he had that one little rough half an inning there, but besides that, he was great in the bullpen. Keep him in the bullpen and move Mick Abel back into the starting rotation, or you got Painter coming soon too. Go to a 6-man rotation. There's no reason to overtax these older guys like Nola and like Wheeler, because we want them to be more fresh in the playoffs. And if you have a 5-man rotation, they won't be as fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Phillies are rolling. I mean, they are really rolling. KJ, how are you feeling about this team? They've really turned it around, haven't they?
Yeah, no, it's been great to see them go on to 7. I think now it's 7 games because they're about to. I think they just beat the Rockies. Yeah, it's official. Yeah, they beat the Rockies with a great score of 2-0. Kind of a dry spell of a game, but you know what though? Great game to have a dry spell because, yeah, I mean it's the Rockies, and you got to sweep them in 4 games. You beat a pretty bad you swept the Pittsburgh Pirates team, so that's 2 sweeps in a row. I mean, that's great to see. I mean, 7 in a row. You get to go play in Sacramento next, which we usually say Sacramento for like basketball, for like the Sacramento Kings. Usually we're not used to saying Sacramento in baseball, but this is just temporary because they're going through the whole Las Vegas / Sacramento thing, which like our good friend Mikey D has told me that the Sacramento experiment over there has not worked out one bit. Like the fans are not connecting with the team over there. So it's not going to work out. It's not going to grant them a future expansion team ever in the future. So Sacramento's kind of failing right now with it. But yeah, they got a decent team that they're going to play next, and we'll see how they do on their next road trip.
Road trip for sure. How are you feeling about it, Chris?
They're playing really well right now. I'm trying not to get too excited about it though, because they just played the Pirates and the Rockies, and they're about to play the A's.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, yeah, they're winning a bunch of these games. Yeah, they're in first place now, but it's like I'm trying to take it with a grain of salt here, just because they're beating bad teams. Now it's good they're beating bad teams, but I mean, it's just like that Eagles team a couple years ago that won. What was it? They started like 10-2 because they played a bunch of bad teams, but then as soon as they played all the good teams, they fell apart. That's what I worry about with this Phillies team. But they are playing pretty well as a baseball team right now, and guys like Bohm, who were struggling, are now starting to break out, and Brandon Marsh is starting to break out a little bit. So that is a very big positive, but they just need to keep it going. I mean, these are the teams they have to beat, and they're taking care of business right now.
Taking care. Yeah, you guys got me singing over here all podcast long, but it is exciting to see this team really kind of snap back into what they do. This is a good baseball team, and Dombrowski knows that. They just really need to find a way to take it game by game, play as a team, play as a cohesive unit, and you'll be okay. And they have. We were talking about it, saying, okay, this team found a slump, but they've really snapped into emotion. And I got to give credit also to Alec Bohm. Alec Bohm, like Chris said in the one group chat today, Bohm gonna Bohm. Like, he's back to himself. He's doing Alec Bohm things. And the other point is Stott. Stott has really found himself in that leadoff role. Like, I think for the Phillies, that should really be an eye-opener of, okay, this guy should stay here. This guy should stay in this spot throughout his career. Because I don't know what it is, but mentally going up to the plate first when nobody's on base, he's just better at the bag. I don't know what it is. I feel like his batting average is almost 500. Now it's not, but it almost feels that way where you feel like, okay, he has a 50-50 shot every time he goes up to the plate. There have been moments, but it's been a real improvement from Bryson Stott this year. So I want to give credit where it's due, because he's also got a lot of stuff going on at home, right? He just had a baby. He just had a kid. He's got all that going on. And the fact that he was able to lock in and focus at this pivotal point in his, not just his career, but in his life, props to him. So got to give credit where it's due.
And to your point there, not only is a Stott in the leadoff spot, you now have Schwarber in the cleanup hole with runners on base hitting absolute nukes. So having that lineup change a little bit has been a massive, massive improvement for this team. I've been banging that drum for a couple years. You know, Schwarber's not a leadoff hitter, even though, yes, he did hit a lot of home runs in that leadoff spot. He's still hitting all those home runs, but now runners are on base, and it's winning them ball games. So I really like this lineup construction right now, and hopefully Topper continues with that. But you know my thoughts on Topper, so we'll see what happens there.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Well, getting ready to see them in Sacramento. I know you said you weren't getting too excited, Chris. I'm going to assume similar applies here.
Yeah, I mean, 2 out of 3 went all. I think it's a 3-game series, right? Two out of 3 are sweep. I mean, there's no other way. If you come out of there and lose 2 out of 3, then it's a bad series. If you get swept, it's a really bad series. So they're playing in another minor league baseball stadium again. Hopefully they can continue to keep rolling like they are. I expect them to. It's going to really suck because they're 10 o'clock games, and I'm going to be asleep by the 3rd inning, and there's going to be no post-game show. But besides that, I'm excited for the series.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I mean, them playing at another minor league stadium, we saw how dominant they were when they played Tampa at the Yankees minor league stadium. So let's see if they could do the same kind of thing, really kind of take that advantage, a smaller stadium. It's going to be easier to hit the ball, it seems like. But, yeah, I mean, the thing is, the difference is the A's are a better team than the Rays. So I think the A's they've kind of been on an upscale, I guess you could say, for a team that's going to be moving and not really knowing. I mean, they do know they're going to be in Vegas, but they seem like they're actually doing better than they were projected. So that's where I feel like I agree with Chris with the 2 out of 3, like 2 out of 3 like series win. I think we win at least 2 games, maybe drop 1, where there'll be like a crucial mistake from maybe like Marsh or like Alec Boehm or somebody like that. But it won't really be like the end of the world, because if you get 2 out of 3, I think that's fine. I'm not going to be too mad at that.
Yeah, I think like you guys said, it's a team that isn't as good. I'll take this take on it. John Middleton, you need to go out there and meet John Fisher. You need to have a conversation, I think, with him about Brent Rooker. If there's one guy that I would be happy if the Phillies traded for this year, I know Chris is shaking his head backstage, and we'll let him explain why in a second, but I like Brent Rooker. He's already got a home run tonight. Live right now, he's got a home run. I just looked up the stats, and I see that he's got a home run against the Angels, which, yes, it's the Angels. But I think he could be a good player. If you want to talk about, like, he's better than Brandon Marsh.
He can't play the field. He's another Kyle Schwarber. He doesn't fit on the team. They have way too many DHs already. You put another guy like this out in the outfield, it's going to be a shit show. He's a great hitter, but he can't field. So unless you're trading Kyle Schwarber, I'm not bringing in Brent Rooker, and there's no reason to trade Kyle Schwarber or trade Castellanos.
We should not trade. If Kyle Schwarber is a name that is on the trade market, then this team is on drugs for sure.
If they're trading him, it's because they can't sign him.
That's what I was going to ask you guys. Do you guys legitimately think that, because WIP is talking about this and a lot of other people,
they're clueless.
Do you guys legitimately think that this team can sign both Harper and Schwarber? And who would that mean probably has to go, like the rest of the team besides that? Or I'll let Chris take it first.
No, they can. I don't think Schwarber's contract's going to be terrible. They signed him before. I think it was a 3-year, $75 million contract, something like that. I think it's going to be pretty similar to that. Again, I mean, he's an older DH at this point, so he's not going to get crazy money. And I mean, Middleton's opened up his pockets, no problem. So I think they might try to move on from a couple of the other contracts, like maybe a Nola contract, maybe Castellanos contract. They move on from a little bit early. Some of these other guys who really haven't panned out. I'd love to see them somehow get rid of the Trey Turner contract. Not that he's not playing that great right now, but I just feel like that contract's going to age really poorly. I think they have the money for Schwarber. And there's no way they're getting rid of Harper. It's really, does Schwarber want to come back here? And if not, I don't think it's as big as a loss as people think, just because it's not that hard to find a DH. Sure, you might not hit the amount of home runs that Schwarber does, but you could still get the same amount of like run production out of a DH pretty easily.
Yeah. KJ?
Is he frozen?
He might have froze. It's all good. There's something up with the Wi-Fi tonight. But moving on to our next topic, which is the Tush Push lives on. Green Bay Karens, suck it. You don't get anything, which is awesome. It lives on. And it was really frustrating that a lot of NFL teams voted against this. There was the graphic we had last night on the main show that showed the only teams that I think that really sided with us. Let me pull it up. We had the Lions, we had the Ravens, we had the Jets, we had the Browns, we had the Saints, we had the Patriots, we had the Titans, the Jaguars, the Dolphins. Did I say the Ravens already too?
Did you see the Lions?
Yep, I said the Lions.
Yeah.
So, and then if you look at the teams that voted against it, okay. These are teams, let me be legitimately clear about this. If this was not the Philadelphia Eagles, these teams probably would have voted a different way, because this is a QB sneak. That's all that this is. This is a QB sneak that the Philadelphia Eagles run well. Now, it's a specific formation. I get that. But it's a QB sneak. You had teams that are jealous of the Eagles. Obviously, the entire NFC East voted against it. You had the Bills. That made sense to me. I talked about that with a buddy of mine today, that that makes sense because they got tush pushed a couple years ago when they lost in that game in overtime. So, of course, they're going to be salty about it. You had the Cowboys, who I already mentioned in the NFC East, the Cardinals, the Falcons, the Rams. Shout out to JJ Segalo, the Vikings, the Texans, the Chargers, Bears, Raiders. Some of these teams surprised me, honestly. But I'll say this. If you're one of the teams that voted against the tush push, good luck coming to Lincoln Financial Field next year because there's going to be a whole new wrath of, I wouldn't say hate, but I would say ball busting. And a lot of fans are soft nowadays and can't take the ball busting. They take it seriously. If you couldn't take it before, do not come to Lincoln Financial Field next year. Like when KJ did his interview with E-Rock said, what are you coming to Lincoln Financial Field for? To do what? That's literally like what it's going to be week one. Like to do what? To get your ass beat? Because there is those Eagles fans out there that unfortunately that will whoop your ass if you talk smack. But overall, it's like you're just going to get your balls busted and be embarrassed. We are the world champions. You can't top that. And that's essentially what Jeffrey Lurie said to the rest of the NFL. Gotta love it. Tush push lives on. How are you guys feeling about it?
I'm feeling good. I mean, the tush push, obviously, I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the play in general, but honestly, I thought it was just hilarious how it's just caused so much chaos. It just caused so much, like, I guess you could say controversy. Yeah, it's caused a lot of controversy in general. And a lot of people, like a lot of teams just don't agree with it. They don't think it's a football play, but it's obvious that it is. And even players that we have that played rugby have said, because it's been stated that it is a rugby play, which they've said it's not a rugby play. Jordan Mailata and the other guy that we just drafted, I don't know his name, but the other guy that we drafted, who's a guy who used to play rugby, he was saying, yeah, it's not a rugby play at all. So I think it's funny that all the NFC East teams voted against us. I mean, it's funny. I kind of expected that as well. And I don't know about you guys, though, but like the Packers are like kind of being like the scapegoat of all of this. They're kind of being like the main target of this, saying like they really didn't like it and everything like that. I don't know if that was actually really true or not, because some people were saying that like, oh, they were like told by the NFL, hey, will you take the blame for all these teams, really, like all these teams that don't want this tush push to happen, like being the main like person, the main team that doesn't want this play to be a legal play. And they were like, that they totally went for it. So they were kind of siding with Goodell, and Goodell obviously does not want the play to be a legal play. But it's good that we have the backs of these random teams like the Jaguars, the Lions, who were the Ravens. There was also like the Saints. I mean, the good thing is Kellen Moore, who was our offensive coordinator, I think obviously he's not against it at all. It's funny how Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon are both against it, which they were here. I don't know if we made the tush push back then. Did we have it back then?
Yep.
Yeah, that was
We did,
actually
okay.
something that I think it was Jack said, or maybe Zepp said. Somebody said it. Oh, it was Chris. Yeah,
Yeah,
literally Steichen. It was the long hair and the beard that I was thinking of on the main show. Sorry. But yeah, Chris literally said.
Yeah.
Steichen voted against it.
Yeah, it was. I think there's a little bit of different circumstances there just because of the owner situation. Rest in peace, Jim Irsay.
Yeah.
And he was a very controlling type owner that I don't know that Steichen had a say in that at all. But the Gannon one doesn't surprise me at all because he's an asshole. So the Steichen one still did surprise me a tiny bit. But I think this is the last year for the tush push. They want to ban all pushing and pulling now, just because of this play. There's no other reasoning for it. It's just because of this play, and it's just because the Eagles are that dominant. They're going to try to come up with all these different excuses they can, and eventually they're going to get there. I mean, they went from 16 votes to 22 this time. I'm sure they can get 2 votes next year, especially since I think Kellen Moore probably gets fired by the Saints this year because the Saints aren't going to be that good, and they'll be able to convince another team, and it'll be over.
Yeah. It's really a shame that a lot of teams in the NFL are jealous of the Eagles' success and just really envy it, because some of them even used to be a part of it. Like Chris alluded to, my favorite was the Chaos Chris quote. He's an asshole, but Chris isn't wrong because he is an asshole. Like, Gannon is just jealous, I think, of Sirianni's success and this team's success. He's kind of salty that he left, and he left on the terms he left on. It is what it is. But moving on now to one of our last topics, which is the Paisan himself, Nick Sirianni, got his extension. This dude's 54-23, all-time record, including the Super Bowl win. I think the best coach in Philadelphia Eagles history, no doubt. He just has a way with this team of connecting with them to where he's not like a helicopter coach, but he's definitely like a hands-on coach. He finds the balance of he's with you enough, but as you want him to be. He gives you your freedom to make mistakes, but he's not going to let you fuck over his football team. And I think that's a great balance in a head coach. He's really found a respect and a commonality with every fan in Philadelphia. We all resonate with Nick. We love Nick. I mean, my favorite is the clip of him when he goes, "I know what the fuck I'm doing." Damn right you do. So congratulations to Nick Sirianni, because he definitely earned this extension. And in my opinion, and I'm interested to hear your guys, I think he's earned the right to say he is the best coach in Eagles history. Doug didn't coach in 2 Super Bowls. Andy didn't coach in 2 Super Bowls for the Eagles. So I would say Nick probably has the right in modern era, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give it a couple more years before I say the best, because I think there needs to be a little bit more longevity to it. There was that coach back in the 40s who won two NFL championships. So that does technically make him the best coach because he won 2 championships and Nick's only won 1. But I don't think there's a better coach for Philadelphia than Nick Sirianni. I mean, he just knows he's learning more and more how to handle the media. He gets Philadelphia, and he's just a flat out good coach. You know, he makes changes when they're needed. He was a lot more physical in practice last year in training camp, and it really showed with this team. They were a lot more physical last year than they were the year before. He just knows how to coach, made the playoffs every single year, is going to the Super Bowl half the time, won a quarter of the time. Like, if he keeps this up, he's going to be up there with Belichick. We'll see how this progresses, but you know, and he's done it with a couple different offensive coordinators and a couple different defensive coordinators. So I think Nick's here for the long term, and I hope to see him here for the long term.
Now, I know that we were talking in the beginning of the season about how we were like, oh, you know what? Speaking of Bill Belichick, we were like, oh, we're ready for Sirianni to get fired. I think it was really like we just did not think at first that this team, I mean, we knew we had the talent, but we just thought that we were going in the wrong direction. But we should have, as a lot of us Eagles fans should have kind of been more patient about it, because now you look at it and it's like, oh my gosh, like he won the freaking Super Bowl for us. I mean, all of his antics, I mean, they paid off. It seems like when you do those kind of antics and you do that kind of extra bull crap that he was doing that we thought was bull crap, you usually don't get anywhere. But I mean, obviously we doubted him, and then we kind of gained his respect back. And I know people are like, oh, well, then you bandwagoned him. No, not really exactly. I wouldn't really say that. But we kind of had more trust in him as the season went on. And then obviously the team just started gelling together, and you kind of saw what craziness Nick Sirianni had. And it kind of showed his craziness was like his love for the city, his love for the team, his love for this franchise, and I mean these players. So I think it really spoke a lot, especially him winning the Super Bowl. And I still think even if we lost it, I still think it would be a proud appearance for Nick Sirianni. But it's good to say we won it this time coming around for sure. I mean, it's a total relief. But yeah, he deserves the extension. I don't think we know how long of an extension it is yet, because I think the media tried to ask him and he was like, yeah, I'm not going to discuss that. So I think it's like classified at the moment, which is kind of weird. But usually that seems like that's usually the case with coaches.
Yeah. Shout out to Nick Sirianni. He's earned this right. He's earned his Super Bowl, and I know all of us are excited to see him stay in Philadelphia for a long time. One thing I wanted to talk about as well before we wrap up, shout out to Bird Gang Graphics for killing it on this graphic for us. I mean, Nolan, Big Noel, always delivers. And this was an interesting stat. In 2024, which was kind of a down year for A.J. Brown, was just looking at the stats. He had back-to-back 1,400-yard seasons, and then last year he had 1,096 yards. He was the league's highest graded wide receiver, though, in single coverage with a 96.6 rated. Higher than Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill. And Pro Football Focus dropped a video the other day that I think was really interesting. And it basically made the point that when you look at the stats, pound for pound, tier for tier, A.J. Brown is probably the number one rated wide receiver in the NFL right now. The past 3 season sample size is essentially what it showed. And like I said, the stats were there to back it up. I said the second that A.J. Brown came from the Titans and got traded, I said, this dude is going to be that dude. No disrespect to T.O., but A.J. Brown, I just felt like he would mesh with Jalen Hurts. And it happened. It was pure entertainment. T.O., it was fun. It was great. But, you know, you had him with the off-the-field issues too. A.J. Brown, I think, is sometimes the anti-hero of that. Some of it I think he brings on himself. Don't get me wrong. But a lot of it I think is unfair. And I don't think that A.J. Brown deserves it. So I'll say this. A.J. Brown has been that dude in Philly. He's going to be that dude in Philly. We've all seen it. I mean, 6 straight games that one season with 125 plus yards. The dude went off. So A.J. Brown, in my opinion, has got to be not only the greatest Eagles wide receiver. I think he's established that after this season. I think he's earned his flowers like, okay, this is the greatest Eagles wideout of all time. But I think he's starting to make a case for himself right now as the greatest wideout in the NFL too. And it's crazy to think about that the Eagles could have the best wideout and the best running back at the same time. Funny thing, and I'll end it with this for my take. Pittsburgh had the same thing about a decade ago. For a long time, they had the best running back and the best wide receiver in Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. They couldn't win shit, though, with it. The Eagles have been in 2 Super Bowls and won 1. So I'd be really excited if I was an Eagles fan about where A.J. Brown is headed.
I love A.J. Brown. He's one of the I love to have him on my team. I don't think there's any other wide receiver I'd like to have on my team, but I don't think he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. Sounds crazy because I think A.J. Brown is probably like one of the least diva wide receivers out there. I know they call him a diva wide receiver, but he's not a diva. Justin Jefferson is just incredible. I don't think there's a better wide receiver in the NFL than Justin Jefferson, but I'll still take A.J. Brown over Justin Jefferson. It sounds weird, but I'll still take A.J. over Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I agree. I still think that Justin Jefferson is probably the number 1 receiver in this league. But I do agree with Chris. I mean, I'm a huge A.J. Brown fan. I was so ecstatic when we got him. It was such a steal. And I do remember Dalt with that crazy take. And I mean, I actually believed him. And I definitely agree with him when he said this too. When he was comparing, even before he had a snap for the Birds, he was like, he's like T.O. level. Like he's going to be that good of a factor for this team. And he has proven that beyond, I feel like. And the good thing is too, T.O. was only here for like a season and a half. And the good thing with AJ is he's been here for now 3 seasons, and now he's going to be on his 4th season with the Birds. So, I mean, maybe T.O., if he stayed here longer and worked out with McNabb, everything worked out, maybe he could have been the best Eagles wide receiver of all time. But I think already A.J. Brown is making the case that he could be the best Eagles wide receiver of all time. I think that Saquon Barkley is making the case that he's the best Eagles running back of all time. That's what I think about these guys. These guys are that good. And obviously it's hard for defenses. What's up?
And Jalen Hurts is already the best best quarterback in the Eagles history.
I agree with that.
He could. I don't know if I'm ready to say that for Jalen Hurts.
Who's better?
Don't know.
Yeah, who would you say is your best Eagles QB then?
I have to say with stats and the multiple like right now, just I mean, even though he did
Don't say Donovan.
He did lose.
to God, if he puked in the bowl, Mac.
He did lose the Super Bowl. I still do think he is the best. Like, think about if he had the weapons that Jalen has.
Excuse. No, it's Jalen Hurts, buddy.
But you don't even like Jalen Hurts. What are you talking about?
I don't like Jalen Hurts, and I'm saying he's the best Eagles quarterback ever.
I mean,
It's true.
yeah.
Good point.
You know what? I mean, it's close. It really is close. But yeah, you can make the case and say he's the best. You definitely could. I mean, I would definitely. He's probably either number 1 or number 2. That's where I probably put him at. But I think it's with Jalen. I mean, like it's a different story for another day. But like, yeah, I'm a Jalen fan beyond. But like, I still don't think at this moment that I would say like, oh, he's the best Eagles quarterback of all time. It's tough. It's just tough to say that yet. But like, it's just because like, I mean, like, I love the guy. He's my favorite. He's probably one of my favorite players of all time. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just not ready to say it yet, even though he won the Super Bowl, even though he went to another Super Bowl. Just not ready yet. But for AJ, I think he's that dominant that, like, I feel like he definitely is one of the best Eagles wide receivers. And I think in the league, though, he's probably right now number 2. As I agree with Chris, I think Justin Jefferson, which it's crazy. I think we definitely should have had him. And we probably wouldn't have AJ Brown at this moment. We probably would have just had Justin Jefferson. That's a crazy thing. So, but everything I feel like happens for a reason. So, I mean, like that's the main reason. I mean, like we have AJ now, so that's a good thing.
Keep the main thing the main thing. But that's all we got for you guys this weekend. I appreciate Chris and KJ for hopping on here on this Thursday. Once again, if you guys came in late to the show, a little pre-recording disclosure. We are pre-recording this Thursday, May 22nd. It's 6 p.m. right now, so in case anything happens, that's why. Other than that, I hope everybody has a good Labor Day weekend. I know the 3 of us do. And hope everybody stays safe. Huh?
Memorial Day.
Memorial Day. Thank you. Yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing. Yeah, different day. Not really, though. But the point is, hope everybody stays safe. Hope everybody has fun. Spend some time with your family. Take some time to unplug. I am definitely going to do that. And we will see you guys next Saturday. Take care.